So Yukia, I'm very happy to do this interview with you. And we already had a chat now before, so I'm already very inspired to ask you certain questions. I was preparing for this interview and it didn't work out. Like in the last interview with Tatanka, I had a whole list of questions, and now it somehow didn't work. So I decided to follow this flow. We met each other in I guess, for the first time in Pisac, when I was there in the center of Bayandan. And then we spent some time together living in Portugal. And I haven't seen you now since the last, I don't know, 3-4 years.
3-4 years, yes.
Yeah. So, and I was reading your website, and it is for me like, I feel sometimes what you do is it's not easy for me to grasp. Like, can you explain something about that?
Yeah, no, it's well, there's many parts of it, but to simplify, because we are all at the space where we are simplifying things, and certainly for myself, as we were discussing before you pressed the recording, I'm redoing my website completely. So simplifying, I'm a catalyst and an activator, okay? A pioneer of ascension, of course, and all over many years working. But all the work that is that it gets delivered, is to as a catalyst. So I'm catalyzing people to remember, human beings to remember who they are, to be reminded of the coding that they have been birthed with their birthright, to be reminded of their freedom of expression, of their natural expression, to be reminded of the power that they have, to be reminded of how stillness can be part of your daily life, and how quickly you can return to it. To also be reminded of all these gifts and capabilities that are infinite, that there is no linear path to ascension, that there are that the paths that are available are within what I call a sphere of potentials and possibilities that are infinite. And we were talking about infinity before we started, and that those are open to everyone and accessible to everyone. Everyone can ascend. Everyone, in fact, has already ascended, in their ascended self, in their future self, you can call it that. And it's available. Everyone has the divine will. It's encoded in your divinity, in your divine spark. So it's the catalyzing that, and it's activating it at DNA and RNA level, so that you remember. And the tools that I used is sound, from my sonic frequencies, which are intergalactic and earth-based, elemental too, and the language of the heart, which I call light language. So the light coding is the language of the heart, which we all have a remembrance of also. Now, I just had an experience with my daughter and the new twins, and they're about 3 months old. And, they cry sometimes because they're uncomfortable. As soon as the language of the heart started being heard by them, it was a recipe to calm them down, So we did some recordings, so that my daughter could keep it, because it harmonized and there were smiles in their face because they remember. because that's our natural language in whatever that is. Also, the returning to joy and returning to that place where you are in a full acceptance and surrender of who you are. And because you remember that you are everything. You remember you have all the knowingness. You remember that you are part of that unified field of consciousness, which I call the radiance of the ego, because I'm very connected to the ego, where it interacts through us and from us, implodes, explodes, implodes, explodes. And it's the challenge has always been to maintain that field and embody it, integrate it and embody it. So all the activity, all the sessions, the group sessions that are with initiates and explorers, because I don't consider myself a teacher, but an activator who activates a remembrance, who reminds, or through a tool that is given, reminds, that person reminds himself or herself of her true wisdom and her true knowingness, and then starts integrating that. So the group interactions are, over 6 months or over a year. At the moment, I have a year program running, ending in September. It's about really empowerment. It's about being entrepreneurial, coming out with your own project at the end, but within the light and the love of the highest frequency of your divinity, bringing that divinity in and grounding it in consciousness, in the consciousness of Gaia. So, and the sessions are hard to describe, as you know, because you have experienced it. But there's a lot of activations, and there's a lot of being able to read the hologram, like in a TV screen, where you have different pictures open, and the pictures that come out in respect of the person that is having the session is just areas of you to be reminded to you of your greatness and your and the unification with self, or the love for self that needs to be sparked. So it's the sparks. So it could be in this universe, it could be in another universe. It depends what is relevant for the situation of the soul that is present. It could be in the elemental kingdom, it could be inside the earth. And once that is scanned, let's say, then working with our further activations and further upgrades, and recommending tools and then following up on tools, on 3 or 4 sessions sometimes, for that return to essence or to your divinity to be embodied, basically.
Yeah, there is you said something, and it keeps wondering myself. You said radiance from ego. Can you explain that? Because there is an idea like we want to overcome the ego or not identify with it, but how do you see that?
No, of the ego. Not the ego. The ego.
The ego. The ego, like the bird.
The ego. Okay. The bird, yes. the ego. The ego as an expansive vision, which is very similar to the dolphin energy, because it has an infinite radar antenna, okay, and always sees everything from the highest perspective and within the infinite possibility numbers for each one. So like the dolphins, they say they have a 360-degree access, within each challenge, within each suggestion, within each creation. Imagine just having not 144,000 like it's known, but an infinite number of possibilities that are in excess for that. That's who you are. That's the field that you are, vibrating from that frequency of your ascended self, as if you are an eagle, because they have this higher perspective, making decisions from an higher frequency, from that vision of the ego. What is that perspective? If I was to access that field of unity where all knowings exist and where all knowledge exists, which is the I am, which is the I am me, the I am presence, what would I do? How would what decisions would I make? How would I create? And then bring it back. So look back into three-dimensional frequency bandwidths and four-dimensional, and to ground it, because we're living in this body, so we have to descend it.
Yeah.
So I always say there's different stages. There's the in-session, when you are in the beginning of dealing with your stuff. All the traumas, the patterns, all the multiple facets of you, all the shadow. Then there is the ascension, where you are ascending because you are collecting new frequencies, all your new frequencies. And then there is the descension, because we are living and we've chosen to be here in this physical body. Yeah. So we descend, we're grounding this energy in Gaia. Without the grounding, what's the point? We came here to ground. There's always an option. And I've been so tempted in my life to open that gate, and go home. But that was not the agreement. The agreement was that we come here to actually bring that template of infinity, of knowingness, and actually descend that, ground that into the physical reality of who we are, and become a superhuman, because we are superhuman. Even the races outside, even the Venusians, where it's my main home, is Venus. In 9-dimensional frequency, they're not able to descend into consciousness, but we are the drivers.
Yeah, and Yukia, if I see it, it's like about the integration into our bodies fully, right?
Fully.
And by that also standing on this earth.
Gaia.
Yeah, exactly. And if you speak, because I remind in our conversation before we started,
yes,
you were speaking about the different death and rebirth processes.
Yes.
And
yes.
I recognize this very much, because I feel like, okay, I already had different lives in this life. And can I see it like this, that in this death and rebirth process, it's actually a process where we go deeper into our body with each death and rebirth? Can I see it like that?
Yes, very much so. Very much so, because these are layers of deepness. You deepening the layering that needs to be grounded, until such time as you hit that 0 point in the void, where you've been deepening your layers all along, where you are able to bring that frequency and boom, it's I say, because it's quite drastic, and then ground it into and then we are calling it embodiment. It's no longer integration. It's now we are embodying it. Yeah. We are embodying it. We are embodying the superhuman. Here, we embody the universal human, but it's even more than universal, because the abilities that we hold, the gifts that we hold in our makeup, in our original blueprint, are really magnificent even compared with other galactic races. And it's reminding us of that, reminding us, activating that remembrance, because once every death and rebirth helps you to activate more of that remembrance, because as you release and as you erase and uncreate, sometimes it's needed, those timelines, and you collapse them, you then are opening the spaces within your skeleton structure, within your cell structure, within the DNA, within that tiny photonic particle, to actually accrete, the remembrance of that magnificent and those light codes of freedom, of will, of liberation, of sovereignty, and we're very much in that space now of, embodying the sovereignty and the freedom of our natural expression as humans in this planet. So that's the movement, and each part, it's like you say, and it's very good, a very good way of putting it. It's every death and rebirth is a deepening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember, some of my initiates and explorers that come to me for sessions or for sharings and programs and courses. They always say, "But I really thought that I had ended that cycle, of ending, always going to another layer, When is this gonna end?"
This is
expressing what is happening. What is happening? What is happening? What is this question? And what does this question arise? What arises to the surface with this question? What arises to the surface is that the attachment to the outcome, it's still very much in the field of the disciple or the initiate, that is exploring, and that it's creating a field of limitation, to actually just flow into it. That you don't have a timing. It's when you arrive, you arrive. Allow yourself to flow. And yes, I've been there, so I'm talking from experience. So many deaths and rebirths, so many, and saying, "Oh yes, now," and then finding, "Oh no, another one," and feeling that, and then letting finally and creating that. It wasn't sufficient to let go. It wasn't. I found another way, and the tool of actually erasing and uncreating that timeline with that pattern was so anchored, where that healing was not complete, where that trauma was not felt to the fullness, so was not understood, so that you could then easily collapse it and dissolve it into that radiance and to transform to something beautiful.
Is it like what you're saying, Yukia? Is it what you're saying now? Like, for example, if I see a horizontal line of death and rebirth and deepening into your body, that you're actually saying, even that story, we can overcome.
You can overcome, but it's not linear. There's no lines or circles actually, I used to see these infinity loops, more, but then I understood, after the many deaths and rebirths, that it's actually a field, that's always moving, but yet it's not moving because you are not moving, but it's interacting, and you are the field, so the field is just giving you influxes. It's infusing you with influxes of data and information, that then you start working to deepen and to release and create, erase, and then accrete the new one. And you go on like that. So it's not a straight line. It's not a straight line with a spiral, which, in the beginning of my journey, I used to draw a straight line with a spiral. And the end of the spiral was the end of the samadhi, the state, and then the state of ascent itself was a full-on spiral, but going upwards and downwards. But then I realized, as I went deeper, that there was nothing to see, except to feel the movement and these infusions that are interacting with you outside space and outside time. So you are still, but you feel you are moving, okay? Because so you are still, but you feel you are moving, and a part of you is in that field. Is that field, that's infinite and is interacting with you all the time, and you want so much sometimes to belong to that field because you are conscious of the field, but that is again another construct and a limitation that you are imposing. The minute you relax that and you go you pass the stage of fear, you pass the stage of acceptance and surrender, then you go into a state of just flowing. And when you start just flowing, because you've now released the attachment to the end result, which was to be this ascended self, to merge with your future self, whatever terminology you want to use, and stay in that higher frequency all the time and be the field. You lose that, you lose the need for that. When you lose the need for that, or even the thought of that, then you starting to embody and descend into grounding it into consciousness in Gaia, because that is the experience that we've chosen. It's not to be there, it's to be here with that here. So this is the experience that and the perspective, of course, because everyone's got their own perspective in the infinite possibility field of, there's so many perspectives, and this is a perspective that I am stepping into, because we're never at the end point. We are always evolving. It's an evolution perspective.
I notice since 2 years I'm working with these co-creation circles. So
yes.
Light workers come together with the intention to collaborate and co-create, and to give something back to the earth in the form of a project, but coming out of our light. So we are kind of exploring the movements in this coming together. And I see these different type of phases, like this phase of not knowing, this phase of like, finding our place, this phase of inspired action. And then it just, it's just, I feel when you show these circles, I feel like there's maybe different phases in this process, right? To co-create really from the light, and it's challenging because we have to let go all the time our ideas about it, and sometimes I'm really come to the point like, but now we need to come to really a clear project, and a clear result, and it doesn't work like that. How do you see that? I mean, you've experienced so much in this.
It is, in the particular group that we are that's present at the moment, they are co-creating projects. That's the phase in the last few months, is to everyone either co-creates with someone else or creates their own project.
Mm-hmm.
And from the start of the co-creation is the most challenging one, and yet it's the most rich one, because you see exactly that, so many faces. I could do this, I could do that, but I don't know if I can. Then I doubt if I am able to co-create with that one. I don't trust that I am able to do that. I am a bit in fear, maybe, of stepping into that project. So the conversation. So there's different faces, just like you say. Just before, it's a very beautiful process, and we have been in this process, for 2 months. 2 months we've been in this process of some already have the project, others are still. They are still overcoming the last residues of parts of themselves that need to be either healed or parts of the fear that needs to be released, parts of the acceptance of themselves, parts of the love for themselves, parts of it. So even though we've done this such a long time ago, this has brought, you start a new creation. This has brought up again all the lost, and it's such a beautiful weaving. It's a beautiful weaving, but we cannot put a time. Like next month you've got to come up with the projects. It's no, we can't. We have to allow it to flow, and it's organically. It's actually falling into a very nice rhythm now, and it will take another 3 months before the whole thing. I always give 6 months, usually 6 months for the spot, but it was 5 months for it to be birthed, because I know it's such a long process, and it will become a shorter process. Mm-hmm. It will become more accelerated as we move into ourselves, into that divine seat. But we need to move. We need to activate. Need is not the right word. We are flowing into that activation of that divine spark. But on the way there, there is the alert bulbs that come up of things that are limiting us, that are that we are creating, that of things that we were not aware. Levels of awareness are lit up, by working in a group. You lit each other up. So by you sharing, another one will say, oh, I have to go back because I have now a new level of awareness, and this is actually limiting me. So let me have a look, let me sit with it, and then working together, how can we then weave this in a symbiotic way? And how can we leverage also on each other's strengths in a group, or in a group of two, in a group of one, or in one single project, because that you could just birth it, and with the idea of maybe co-creating later, setting the platform for that. Mm-hmm. But yes, there's so many faces to it, and it's just to sit with patience and hold that sacred space, and just serve, just activate that, and remember that you yourself are going through the same process, because you're also birthing your own, and you're birthing probably with one or two of them, so you are working in this womb, and what's interesting is that it's the womb of the mother. We are birthing this with a frequency that's very different than the old template frequency, but from a divine mother frequency, a divine feminine frequency. You know, with the neural pathways have been rewired. The activation of the fire of the heart, the white fire or the rainbow fire has been, ignited, catalyzed, you call it. So you are entering a path of no precedent. You don't know how to navigate through it. You only know this is different. And whatever old templates, it's just, we can't go, it's a point of no return. The point of no return. One of the participants in the project said, I just realized that I'm not here to teach anything. So I'm not doing these circles, because the project is to do circles online, to teach. I'm here as an activator, so that everyone finds their own power, their own knowingness, their own knowledge. And this major. So that means I cannot run it the way I was running it before. So what am I doing? How am I going to recreate that? How creative? Let me allow me to tap into that radiance of that ego, okay, and sit and receive from that field that is me, that holds everything, much more possibilities and potentials that I haven't seen. Let them be revealed to me. And then you'll be surprised what so many ideas that have come out of that, innovative, a new way. It's like with the education system with children, a new way.
A new way, a totally new way. I feel it, I feel it like, and I'm looking forward to it. And I really recognize, and I think a lot of people, especially the light workers, there's no way to go back to the old systems. We need to find our new way. But in order for a new way, we need to do our inner work or allow ourselves to be ourselves. And this is my question for you, Yukia, because somehow it feels very much like, okay, we're gonna co-create out of this template of just being ourselves, honestly being.
Yes.
And then when we come to
just being
point, when we come to this point of we feel safe enough, we know each other, of just be together, then I feel like in this circle in the middle there is this source that then comes vroom, like inspiration comes to and this is this point where sometimes, like, I see with the circles, I wonder, like, just to be, it feels so nice. And then the questions sometimes arise with me, but also with other people. Is it not just too good enough? Should we not come to inaction? Like maybe we're being lazy, or we little bit being passive, or maybe this inspiration wants to come, but unconscious. We just like to be, and we're not ready to take the action that comes from this inspiration. Is this something you recognize and you see with people?
Yes, I have recognized that. But with that realization, was very interesting actually. That realization came also the realization that that was another construct. That was part of another limitation that we were self-imposing ourselves. Now that we are being and enjoying, let's stay in the lingering of the being.
Yeah.
You know, when you are being, you are starting to embody, but you can't embody if you do not act upon it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a compassion action. You know, compassionate leadership with yourself. Even you know, it's part of that action of liberation, because you can be, but you will feel tied. You are not free if you're not acting.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's something that's limiting you from actually moving. There's a movement that we are not taking. There's a step that we are not opening that door. We're not going across the threshold. We are staying in the limbo because we still remember, as light workers, that maybe we are, maybe we don't know how to navigate over that threshold. That maybe that threshold is not accessible. It's still outside ourselves. Maybe we're going to fail. Maybe we are not good enough. And then another layer of deepening comes in before you start with the action.
Mm-hmm.
Because all this comes up. The fear, again, the acceptance, the surrender, the love for self, before action actually takes place. And what I have found is you open a small door. You don't need to open a big door. If you take a step, no matter how small it is, put an advert online. An example, let's take the one with the circle. An advert online, putting it out exactly what you intend doing in a new way, writing in a new way, you know, or speaking it, do a little video. It's opening a door. To the project is still not birthed, but you are opening a door because you are intending. So you're setting this intention from that perspective of the radiance of that ego. You're working backwards. For better, just to simplify, because there's no backwards or forwards, but you're working backwards, you know, into three-dimensional and fourth-dimensional frequency to ground it in your body. All right, all is happening in that one window of the now, but you need to make that movement. It's a movement across, you know, where you are, that intention that you percolate, that you set at that magnetic attractor, which is in your ascended self. It's like a magnetic attractor, your ascended self, your future self, in that frequency. You can send the impulse, you know, it's like waves of consciousness that are colliding into, so that they collide with your present self in three-dimensional frequency or four-dimensional frequency. And then they collide. And once they collide, there's a midway point in the middle where you set the intention with the vibration of a higher frequency, of a frequency that is in love, in pure essence, and you'll be able to make the move.
Yeah,
but you have to make the move. So that little step, that courage to move, indicates your freedom. You are freeing yourself from sitting, from being for whatever reason, and you are liberating yourself, allowing yourself to flow into the next action that's going to maybe open a world of potentials and possibilities for you to navigate. And once you do that, then you are away. It doesn't have to be a big action. It could be just a statement of intent. It could just be, sending an email to a few people. It could just be doing an activation online and placing a video, appearing, showing up. But the action is very important, because you can stay in the limbo of the being with the excuse that you are being, okay, when you're actually not being. Because being is being in action with the being. It's an action orientated.
Yeah. So I see it's like,
and I mean, we've all gone through that. And
like you have a vision, and it looks big,
Pardon?
it looks far, and it
Yes.
really feels aligned to your energy, but you cannot oversee it. So you bring it back from that vision very nearby yourself, and you're going to see, like,
Yes.
what little step I can make now towards this vision, and only focusing like on that step and not making it too big, but making it that there comes the simplicity again. Make it very simple.
Yes, the simplicity. Yeah. So let me just focus on this small intent, this small step, and so you're percolating from the field of all knowingness, that intent. So it's already actualized, because there it's already realized. You're percolating it, cascading it to this point here, and it will open up and flow. All right. Along the way, there is focus, there's clarity on that small step. Some people can handle a big step, but some people, they're not ready yet for a big step. Depends on the level of frequencies where you're vibrating. All right. And it's very easy to get distracted from that small step. Someone else approaches you and says, hold on a minute, I'm doing these caricatures now. I've got this project, for children with caricatures. Would you be interested? And then you get distracted from the intent that you've set, in your God's particle, like I call it. You get distracted. So the intention cannot ground into the body of consciousness, of Gaia, or your body. Can't ground, because there's been it's like an interrupted current. You've now had the focus here, but you chose to go that way, breaking that, leaving this one. So what are you setting? So it's the alignment that's very important. The perfect alignment and perfect focus and clarity, and being able to center in such a way that you will not be distracted. Because
about this distraction, because it is so easy when another thing comes that you think, oh, maybe this is supposed to be my destination or mission, and it's not anymore that. Like, how is it us who defines that? Like, when I put the intention and I focus on it, it's more easy to create. But sometimes it's we learn to live in surrender, and we kind of learn to trust that the path will show itself.
Yes.
How work? That's kind of
and it does. That happens. And it could flow. It could flow with your intention if it's in alignment with your intention. It could be part of your intention, of your small step, if it's an alignment. But if it's something completely different, then you leave that intention no longer will work, cannot be manifested. It will collapse, and you will then have to you have to intend again in a different way, because you no longer will be able to carry that project forward, but if it's in alignment, it's part and parcel of that. It complements like a puzzle that complements. It's beautiful, because then it just flows. Someone comes to you, synchronicity, about the same thing, but just slightly different stand. Oh, fantastic. We can co-create together. Someone comes to you offering a resource, that you didn't think about it. Oh, come. So all this is part of this this original intention. But if it's completely different in terms of energetic, also energy, and density, then the whole thing will be interrupted and collapse. Your co-creation, your co-creation.
So we have to check with the distractions to see whether it is a distraction. We need to check.
Discern.
Is this in a synchronicity to my intention?
Yes. Is this in alignment?
Yeah.
You ask questions. Is this in alignment with my intention? Is this in synchronicity? Is this a synchronicity? Is this, does this complement and adds value to, value is not a good, enriches this experience? Does it, is there a creative expansion that is being added by this piece that's coming to me now? And then also ask the other questions. Or does this limit? Is this limiting me from, then you go into, you discern.
Yeah.
You go inside. You go inside and you discern. And the more you do this, the quicker you actually learn how to discern quickly. Because it gets to a point where you will do this automatically. Immediately, if someone comes to you and will say, you're already seeing, because you have the map, the full map, the creative mind, heart map, because it's with the heart, it's not with the mind, of what you are bringing to this world, co-creating in this world. And you will see immediately, because you feel it in your heart, this piece does not belong there.
It's nice.
So, and you'll know instantly, or shortly. So, in the beginning, you discern. It's being conscious of what is part of that amplified field of that creation. Okay, or not, and in alignment with it, and in resonance. And what is part, and I think one of the keys that I found from my experience is the art resonance and the art coherence. Is it in coherence with the heart of this creation that I have birthed, that I have designed? Because I designed the creation and I'm the creator of it. I'm not being guided by a creator. This is the field I'm operating in. And of course, in the beginning, you will be guided by the creator until you can get to a field like that, Asking for guidance. If you are being guided, there's nothing wrong in being guided by the creator. It's part of the evolution, of your evolution. Then asking the question, source, let me be guided by source on this. Does this piece really feels in resonance? Is this part of this coherent field that I am birthing, or not? Or not?
It reminds me something you said earlier, and something I experienced last year, that I write with my spirit guides already for a couple of years. And then at that moment, I felt they were gone and I had to do it myself. And I was really angry with them, to be honest.
Yeah. we all get very angry with them.
I felt abandoned. And when I hear you speak about this, is it what you say, like, okay, we are being guided, but at a certain moment, we are the guides ourselves because we are in source? Is it like?
Yes, that's at a certain moment. There's no one guiding you. No one. And you are the designer, you are the architect, and you are the creator, and you bring forth. It's you that's bring forth, because you are the field. You are the field. And so once there is more permanence in this field, because it's not that you stay in the field and you don't move for the field. You, as I said before, you don't move. It's just an illusion of movement that takes place. But your consciousness goes, you can be in that field, and that's your premise, that's your home, and navigate to other frequencies to create different things, but come back to that field. But being able to always work from that field. Okay? And there's no one to guide you, except because it's you. Everything is you. And we are stepping as a human, it's part of our true human potential that we are stepping on. When you look at the world, extreme polarization, but yet the pressure that is contracted by the extreme poles puts pressure and compression. There's a compression into that midpoint. There's a midpoint. And it's causing this chaotic node to explode. Things come to the surface. Look at how much has come to the surface. Awareness gets lit up, gets awakened, moving internally to implode and explode. Such a gift during this time. So a part of this, and then realizing that you are so much more than what you thought you were, for a lot of the awakening ones, the realizing that you've been operating in a false template unknowingly, realizing for others, realizing that you've been that you are part of this. You're not separate of depolarization, because you have given consent to give your power away. You've given consent not to question or do your own research. You've given consent. We've all done that. Mm-hmm. We've all done that. We've given consent and closed our eyes to information that was pertinent, but that we didn't think we could stand up for it, because we were less off. There was this God outside that was everything, and the God was not, and you could not. So your external focus, it was external focus. And now the realization for many, that for most people, that these external focuses are all actually superfluous, most of them. And you actually, the awareness that you are just everything, you are, and moving into that inner space and coming to a realization that you are magnificent, and that you are, as a human being, that you are actually in the driver's seat, and you are here. You are the one that's going to bring unity to this planet. No one else. And then there's different levels. And then there is those that have already, many of the light workers that have gone through all those processes, all those levels of breaking down the old, realizing the inverted matrix, coming out of the inverted matrix, that are in a level of awakening, working with the diamond body, working with the rainbow body, working with upgrading golden frequencies, and bringing in the golden root race into consciousness, already setting intents from the radiant field of the ego. But even those people, which we call the first wavers, just for better terminology, even those ones have to navigate back into this frequency of the present self. At this moment in time, especially, they navigate, most of them, not all of them are required, to navigate back, to ground the sovereignty, the divine sovereignty, and to usher the words to all the others that have not realized and now realize, and have not awakened and now they are awake. They have to be here to show up and to say, I do not consent. Claiming your power, showing your divinity, ushering the love, spreading the love, spreading anchoring the codes of freedom, the codes of liberation into the consciousness of Gaia. They're still doing the golden, all the new grids, they're putting into place. They're working most of the time from that field, but you navigate back and forward, especially at this time, because it's important. And there are those that you've seen that are doing this 100%, and they are operating at that level because that's their purpose, that's their mission, the Indigo one especially. So I'm a crystal, rainbow one. So it's a difference. So I come here once in a while, but I still have to ground this. I still have to have this conversation. And I want to have this conversation because it's important. Because why should they do it alone now? They have so many other people that can catalyze and activate them to remember. And that's why we're here.
And darling, while listening to you, already a bit ago, I just felt all of a sudden my heart.
Oh, sorry. I'm quite passionate about this.
I don't know, it really came at the moment. I think you said like, okay, and then we're not being guided, but we are in that field. We are the creators ourselves, in a sense. I felt all of a sudden this space coming, like new space to be and to, I don't know.
Yes, and it's allowing that space to be is your space. It's your field. You are in that field. Just reminding you. So catalyzing that, reminding you of that, and then, oh yeah. From now on, I'm here. But I'm very conscious that I can be there and here. And that I'm not staying there, just doing you have the freedom. And it's such a critical time on earth that all those people in that radiant field, or that have got into the radiant field, recently even, and or those that have been already a long time, they are on call to this frequency dimension because we are needed here. And the reason we are here, we are here to remind and to sparkle that, it's like ignite the sparkle, that reminds, that activates remembrance and awareness, and that assists to collapse, that assists each person, each being, to find their own way out of the fear and other. They find you're not doing anything, and the more, and so it's a beautiful process. And if you're looking at, politically, we have a great example, of a country that's standing up and saying, no more, and wherever, and of course there's always a lot of criticism of it, but there is a great example, of a courageous leader that's standing up and saying, it's time to collapse all this, and yes, everything will crumble, and it's not going to go away, and it's not, it's not just the COVID, And there will be other tests, because these are a series of tests that we are entering, and it probably take 2 years for all the tests. There will be more. We're entering what we call a tumultuous time. But if you are in your center and in that space of stillness, it's easy to navigate through the tests. And it's easy to assist also.
Oh, darling. So beautiful what you share. This is a question. When I was with you in Portugal, you gave me a session.
Yes.
And lately this session is coming back to me. It's kind of funny how things from the past seems to come back to me. And I was, what's going on in the world. And we were speaking then about the Atlantis, Lemuria, story. And I wonder, like, is this what's happening now? Is it not like a copy of that version?
Yes, it's exactly. Yeah. It's just a different version of it. It's a different version.
But it's free, right?
I was just saying to a client the other day, on a session, that this is copy paste, basically what happened in Atlantis. Copy paste. Nearly copy paste, just a different version in another timeline. It's like a projection of a projected timeline from the past that is happening in the current moment, that was projected to this time to be unlocked, and another big transition coming through. Exactly the same. I mean, different, of course, with added spice, because we've learned a lot of lessons from that one. But we still in the same place that we were. It's a similar place. But this time around, we have added experience and expressions, and we've got, 8 million, awakened, fully fledged, ready to go, So, but yes, we are. It's very much that. You're absolutely, reminding. It's just a replica. It's just another transition.
Yeah, like the one way, the way of the, I would say, the technology.
Yes.
The other way, the way of more the light workers collaborating, communities going to self-sufficient living. Like those two are more clear and obvious, I think, at this moment.
They are, and they are more clear also because they're more clear. There's, you can see the split, although we are unifying, because it's a paradox. You see the split so clearly, but you also see the unification. We have entered, actually, a week ago, the unification phase, reunification, I call it. In my perspective, phase, where we now, okay, the split is here. So we are unifying with us, you are unifying with yourself. That's what, the split is so big, it was so tumultuous. It threw everything into chaotic nodes, into a chaotic. It brought to surface so much awareness, so much illumination also, and so much, so many frequencies, elevated frequencies that have also come into to the planet through the Schumann. I mean, the Schumann resonance has been in chaos, but that's the frequencies. So we are receiving a lot of assistance, from the solar system, let's say, to accrete light into our DNA. This is happening simultaneously. And there is the beautiful dance is the unification with self, because everybody's re-looking at their lives. I mean, they had to collapse all their beliefs, because everything they thought it wasn't, and so it gives a gift. It's a gift to reevaluate your life and get back, return to your natural expression, your organic expression, as per your original blueprint. So that's the return to that divine divinity, and that so you're seeing a lot of sovereign a lot of claims for power, standing up for power. You are seeing a lot of you're still seeing manipulation for power and manipulation and control, but you're also seeing at the same time a lot of statements of sovereignty, of divinity, of freedom, and your Bill of Rights coming in, and really revolutionizing, the it's like it's not even, I don't call it a spiritual revolution, but it's in a way, it's also it's an energetic revolution that's taking place,
Mm-hmm.
But
where I see if we go back to the Atlantis Lemuria story, the difference might be that we're really standing now for our, and it's the invitation, but I think already a lot of people are standing for their beliefs from their perspectives, from their sovereignty. And maybe in those days that was less and it more happened kind of, and now we are standing stronger in our
I think we've really graduated in a way from where we were, and all those that are still in the old template belief system and the old programs, there is respect for where they are. We need to respect where they are, and just shine our light and shine our love, and ignite that sparkle with maybe with our work, how we express ourselves, what we put out to the world from our heart, and slowly they will start asking the question, how come you are in such in such a peaceful place? How come you are so still? How come you have so much joy in the middle of all this? So then it starts, you see, there's a seed that starts to grow, and there's a curiosity, and slowly they will get there when they get there. But the acceptance of the opposites is important, because the both sides, we couldn't have gone this way, we couldn't be in this place in time now if it wasn't for the opposing forces. I mean, you can call it dark and light, whatever, which I don't like the description, but the opposing forces, are part of one coin. One cannot exist without the other, and vice versa. So it brought us to this point. Whether in Atlantis it wasn't as clear as this, it was so mixed up. And also in terms of sovereignty, man. So in a way, we have graduated, even though there was so much manipulation, in the inverted matrix, much more than at the time of Atlantis, because there were. But I think it's a beautiful time to be here, and it's really being in with yourself, with your presence, and just working from that point.
Yeah, Yukia, I think it's time to
yes.
We are talking so much, and it's so interesting what you're speaking about. And I feel it totally resonates. I just wanted to ask, just the last question, is there something you would give as a message to us, that is important for us to know or take in at this moment?
Just love your light and love yourself. Stand in that light of the self, of your, and realize you're divine. You are magnificent, and you have all the knowingness, and you are an expression of divinity every time.
Thank you, Yukia.
Okay,
pleasure. I will share this video also on my website. I will have more information about you if people want to
talk
with you.
Okay.
And, I wish, I mean, we could have talked, I think, a couple of hours more.
Yes, I know, but it's the end. Yes. And we all have things to do. Yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Judith. Much appreciated. It was lovely reconnecting with you. Incredible. Really. Yeah.
Bye-bye, darling.
Bye-bye.